Hey guys, got some good stuff we're looking at today. We've got today and tomorrow, and we will have wrapped up this big long section of this conversation Jesus is having, primarily with the Pharisees, but probably a big crowd of people at this feast. When we ended last time, John told us that as Jesus was speaking these things, a lot of people came to believe in him. So at the beginning of this section today, Jesus is going to start addressing those people who had come to believe in him. So that's where we're going to start today, looking at verse 31.
So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." They answered him, "We are offspring of Abraham, and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free?" Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The Son remains forever. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I know that you are offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me because my word finds no place in you. I speak of what I have seen with my Father, and you do what you have heard from your father."
So we see here at the start, Jesus starts by addressing the people who had come to believe in him. You know, their faith was new. It was just beginning, and Jesus desires for new believers to become mature believers. And so he starts talking about abiding in his word to be his disciples, knowing the truth, and the truth setting them free. And this idea of freedom was a little bit confusing to them. They said, "We've never been enslaved." And then Jesus expands on what he's talking about. He says, if you practice sin, you are a slave to sin. And the Son, Jesus, can set you free from this sin. And if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I love that in the midst of a heated conversation, Jesus takes time to teach these people who have come to believe in him, to disciple them. He's saying, I want to set you free from your sin. I want you to become mature and rooted in your faith in me. I want you to experience true freedom. And then in verse 37, it kind of shifts gears a little bit. Seems like up until verse 36, he's just addressing these people who believe in him. And then in verse 37, it seems like the focus goes back to the heated conversation. And Jesus kind of leaves us hanging here a little bit when he says, I speak of what I've seen from my Father, and you do what you've heard from your father. And that statement kind of indicates that those fathers are two different people, right? So let's jump into the next section to see exactly what Jesus is talking about.
They answered him, "Abraham is our father." Jesus said to them, "If you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did. You are doing the works your father did." They said to him, "We were not born of sexual immorality. We have one Father, even God." Jesus said to them, "If God were your Father, you would love me, for I came from God and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. Which one of you convicts me of sin? If I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? Whoever is of God hears the words of God. The reason why you do not hear them is that you are not of God."
Again, just some bold words from Jesus. He pretty much is taking everything that these religious leaders thought was true about themselves and telling them, no, you're wrong about this. He says, if Abraham was your father, then you would be doing the things that Abraham did. He says, I've told you the truth and you're seeking to kill me. That's not what Abraham did. They said, okay, well, our father is God. And he said, if God was your father, you would love me because I came from him. Jesus says, you don't understand what I'm saying because you just can't bear to hear it. And then he drops the bomb. He says, you are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do his desires. And he says his desires are to murder, which we know they're going to end up doing to Jesus later, and lie. You know, it's interesting here that Jesus really compares being a son to behaving like the Father. You know, I think about, for me personally, I do a lot of things that are similar to the things my dad does or my dad did when I was younger. You know, whether we like it or not, a lot of times sons are going to end up very, very similar to their fathers. And I think the same goes for daughters and their mothers. And I even see that in my own son. He does things, and he's 4, and he does things, and it's just like, wow, that's like watching myself when I was a kid. It just happens. Sons imitate their fathers. So Jesus says, if you were truly children of Abraham or children of God, you would imitate them. And your rejection of me indicates that you're actually children of the devil. I think that's something for us to think about. Who are we imitating with our lives? You know, if I claim to be a child of God, do I seek to imitate him? Do I seek to imitate Christ with the way that I live? And your challenge for today, go over to the book of Galatians, look at chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. A lot in there about being children of God. Go check that out. We're going to wrap up this section tomorrow with the climax of this story, and I'm looking forward to that, but we'll see you then.